Hello, everyone. I'm Kaela Hansen, your co-host at the One Soccer Nation podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Addie Merrick. Addie previously played for the Utah Royals in the NWSL and now currently plays for Carolina Ascent FC of the USL Super League. Addie, thank you for coming on my podcast today. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm really good.
You're good? You guys just had a lift, right?
Yes, we did.
How was that?
It's been a long day. We had a fitness test today.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that's tough. And then we had a long, hard training, and then I had a lift after. So
I think I'm like traumatized from all the fitness testing we've done in college.
oh, I got lucky. I only had to do it once.
Are
Yeah.
is like the lifting and like the fitness and all that, is it just as bad as like college or is it worse?
It's a different type of lifting. Obviously, in college, our school was very like pro lifting, so we lifted like 3 to 4 times a week.
Mhm.
Um, Here, I'd probably say it's like 2 times a week, but they try to get at least one lift in a week.
Oh, that's so nice. What kind of
So,
fitness testing do you guys do?
yeah. Today, we just did like a 5 minute. Everyone starts at different points of the field, and you just see how far you can run in 5 minutes,
Oh,
just to
dang.
see where our fitness is at after halfway through the season. So,
Oh, dang. Well,
yeah.
obviously, I bet you were at the very front because that's how it's always been.
No, I am coming back from an injury. Yeah.
I remember that. I still
Yeah.
bet you beat everyone though in
No,
fitness
my
because
fitness has
you're
changed.
girl, if you're fitness like that,
I
mine's in the trash because you've always been so fit and in front of everyone at
I
Kansas.
was always
Now
so
it
fit.
changed.
Not anymore. Not
Okay.
anymore. I actually had a big asthma flare up the past, let's say, like probably a year and a half. So I've been
Mhm.
dealing with like asthma at the pro level, which I never had throughout college. Like it kind of went away a little bit, went away. It was dormant. And then it kicked back up like a
Yeah,
year and a half ago. So
because I
dealing
was
with
about
that.
to say in college you never like had any like asthma issues. That's interesting how it just started randomly all of a sudden.
Yeah, so I had childhood asthma growing up my whole life.
Oh.
And then probably like middle of high school, like I just like never needed my inhaler anymore. It like went
Mhm.
away. I was fit all the time. It was great. And then I broke my ankle and I was out for a long time. And then I came back and I got hurt. And I think me going and I don't know, coming back triggered like sports induced asthma. So,
Mhm.
and then I got COVID and I got the COVID vaccine and um, I had an allergic reaction to that. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, but um, yeah.
Dang, girl, I feel though. I've had sports-induced asthma since I've been at the University of Kansas, and it
It's
it
terrible.
hasn't gone away. It's still there. So
It's
I feel
terrible.
you. It sucks. It really does suck because it's only
Yeah.
when you're doing like very high intense things. Other than that, it's like you're good. But I feel you. Okay, let's
Yeah.
get into the first question.
Yeah.
You made your
Yeah.
professional debut with North Carolina Courage in 2020. How did the transition from college to the professional league feel, and what were some of the biggest challenges you faced during that first year?
Um, that's a good question. I
Take
would
your time.
say the pro level, obviously every level you go up, like there's a speed change. So I think adjusting to the speed of play was different. And then obviously at the Courage, like I was playing with some of the best players in the world. So the IQ of the game, like you really had to think about things. You don't just like play to play, like you play with a purpose more. Obviously in college, like you play with your purpose, but it was very intensified and professional. So I think that was like a big adjustment. It's just like sitting back and like taking the time out to like watch film and like even if I'm not necessarily watching film, I'm like having these conversations with players that have been in the league for so long and have played internationally.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'd say that's like probably the biggest thing is the IQ and like just the speed and physicality.
Because I feel like when you're like in college, there's like usually a few that are like the quickest on the team or like the strongest on
Yeah.
the team whenever we would do like our strength and fitness tests. But then when you go to the NWSL league, I feel like everyone there was like the first or second quickest on their team. So you're just
Yeah,
competing against like other quick and athletic and strong people. So I can understand why the speed of play and the IQ has definitely different
yeah,
levels up there.
very
But,
different levels.
but I can imagine though, it's probably pretty cool playing with all the top players and stuff like that, or players that you look up to, like on the women's national team or other like great teams, you know?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's cool. I would go to training and I'm training with Sam Mewis, Dabinia, Lynn Williams, Jess McDonald, like the list goes on, Crystal Dunn, Denise O'Sullivan. Like there's just I could keep naming people. Like everybody on that roster was like unreal. So I mean, I'd come into training every day and I'm like just learn something from someone today. Like so yeah. It was awesome. It was a really cool experience.
That's a good thing though. And I feel like it's different too when you're coming from like, being the big fish in college and then
Yeah.
like being the little fish again, like being the rookie
Yeah.
coming into
Yeah.
the NWSL. But who was like the top player or that got you most excited that you've like played against? Like the most
I
it
played
was like
again.
famous or top player that you've played against in NWSL or made you the most excited to play against. Or it was like, oh my God, that's her.
I
Have you
probably
had
said
that?
Marta. Marta was pretty cool.
You play against Marta?
Yeah, that was
That's
pretty
crazy.
like such a vibe. She's just like such a cool person and she's like passionate about it. So it's
Hmm.
like cool to see that on the field and like be next to her and like yeah, it was really cool.
That's
So,
crazy. Did you get to take a photo with her and stuff?
I didn't. I have not taken pictures of anybody. And like looking back, I'm like, why did I do that? But
Girl,
it is I have some pictures with them, so it's okay.
I feel like you'd be the first person to like just because of your personality, just go up and just ask for the photo.
I was like, nice to see you. I got some pictures of us like going
So
against each other, but
cool.
that's about
That's
it.
so cool. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. She's such a talented player. They just won too, didn't they?
yeah, yeah.
That's
I think she had the game
crazy.
on.
And she's like retiring now. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. She's awesome, cool person.
Okay. You faced some significant injuries throughout your career, including an ankle injury in 2021. How did those setbacks affect your mindset, and what steps did you take to ensure your recovery and maintain focus on your long-term goals?
I think the biggest thing I learned from my ankle injury is to never try to like rush yourself back. And at the time, I didn't think I was rushing myself back. I was like, oh, I just feel good. I'm fine. I'm fine. But like now looking at myself like a couple years later, I'm like, I will never rush myself back. And like, um, with the injury I'm dealing with now, like I was very like on top of like my supplements and everything, my sleep, my protein, like literally everything. And I feel like that's been like a huge difference. Not that my ankle injury was like, it wasn't necessarily bad. I had some issues with it. And I just think the mindset of me going through it, I didn't process out so weird. I didn't process my injury while I was hurt. I processed it when I got back on the field.
Hmm.
So I think like if I go back, I would maybe like let myself be upset more because I never let myself be upset that I was hurt. Like I would just show up and I was like, I'm fine. Like, and I was in the locker room and like on the field and like trying to help people all the time. But I mentality and the mindset of like, you don't always have to be like this fastest, strongest person because it's like definitely changed how fast I am as a person and player. Like,
Hmm.
um, and that's a big part of my game is like defensively, like I'm really quick. So it's made me have to like learn like a bit of a different game. So, I mean, blessing and a curse, had to change some things, but I think I mean, yeah, yeah, that's probably the line.
I feel like, well, like people, maybe a lot of athletes do, but like people outside of that world don't understand. I feel like is that when you get like injured and stuff like that, it's not only like a physical battle, it's like a mental battle too, because it does a lot to you mentally. And I feel like it does like a lot to your confidence. Like at least for me, like my biggest injury was probably an ankle injury as well. Like my ankles are just messed up. Like It
Yeah,
is what it is. But like the mindset, I feel like, of you're better, but going from better to going back on the field again, I feel like is like a definite mental battle because trying to get that
yeah,
confidence back up, trying to get playing time again, like trying to get your groove in, it's like it's a big mental battle.
yeah,
Um, and also too, I feel like as athletes as well, we're like I don't know if people, maybe people do teach us this, but I feel like we're just always taught that we feel like we need to play through injuries
yeah,
and stuff like that because we want to play so badly and we don't want setbacks and we're just so stubborn. We just want to play through the injury and we play through it to the point where like we're like done and like we mess it up completely or it's too late, like you said, and stuff like that, which like makes it even worse. So, I mean, I think a good lesson, like you said too, is just literally like listen to your body, stay on top of it, allow yourself to feel how you're feeling. Like those are very
yeah,
important things. Like not only the physical stuff, but it's like the mental stuff too, and the stuff you put into your body and making sure you get sleep and all that, like is important, just as important as like the physical,
yeah.
all the stuff that you do for your ankle to get back on the
Yeah.
field. So yeah, I
I
completely
say like my
understand that.
yeah, I'd say like my mental piece too, like coming back from the ankle injury, like I was like, oh, I'm gonna be exactly like I was before. I'm gonna be like fine, like I'll come back in and do what I want to do, like it's fine, like on the field, like play how I want to play. And I like came back and I was like, like this is not, I was like, something's not right. And I mean, I went and got it looked at again and something was not right. But it's like the fact of like when you come back from an injury, like your body changes. And I feel like that's not talked about enough. Like you're not going to feel the exact same that you were before. And like I didn't really put that into my mind whenever I got hurt. So coming back from that, I was like, oh my gosh, like this isn't how I feel. And I feel like that adjustment of like, I don't like how this feels, like probably took me 8 months to like process, like, Addie, you're not that person anymore. Like you have to move on and like put that person in the past. Like this is how your body works, like find a way to work with it.
Hmm.
So
Well, that's a good lesson that everyone can learn from you and just in general, just like listen to your bodies, everybody. Listen to your bodies
yeah,
and
honestly,
okay. You've played for several NWSL teams, including North Carolina Courage, Racing Louisville, Kansas City Current, and Utah Royals. Crazy. Just want to say, crazy lineup you got there. How did each team
straight across the line.
Pardon?
So, so straight across the line and went from
Yep.
east to west.
How did each team shape your development as a player, and what was the most valuable lesson you learned from each experience?
Ooh, that's tough. Um,
I'd be asking some good questions sometimes.
yeah, yeah, this is good. I'd say North Carolina was amazing because it showed me my potential as a player, which
Hmm.
is like a double-edged sword because then you get like really ambitious and like excited and like you just want things to happen. So I think North Carolina was amazing for me because I just got to learn and absorb. And um, I wish I could have had a little bit longer, I think, to do that because I had so much to learn. And I got to learn from amazing players. And I still take some of what they told me then 4 years ago. And I still hold that very close to my heart, whether they know that or not. I value the time that I was there because it was so important to me to just like learn and be a sponge and just be very thankful for the situation that I had been put in. I think it set me up to then go to Louisville. I got taken in the expansion draft, and I think what I learned there was like about injuries and just like you're not defined by being a soccer player. Like injuries happen to everybody, and um, yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing because that was my first. So that was kind of hard for me. I think that was my biggest lesson there, and just learning how to support your team while not playing all year, like getting a season ending injury like a couple games in. Um, and then at Kansas City, I mean, I feel like Kansas City kind of just taught me to like embrace where you're at too.
Hmm.
Um, like things are crazy and I was so happy to be home. Like so happy to be home. And I was very honored that I got to play in my city, even if it was for a year and a half. But I think being in Kansas City for me was like, I was like, I'm here, I'm with my family, like be where I'm at and like enjoy this time. And I definitely did. Like I loved the girls on that team. I loved the staff. Like it was a great time. I loved our chef too. He was awesome. He's awesome. He made pancakes for me all
Shout
the
out
time.
to the chef.
Not just me, but the team. He made pancakes for the team. Still rave about those. But yeah, I just learned to like be where I'm at and like be okay with being in the situation I'm in, whether I'm playing or I'm not playing. Because my role did switch there. Like I got there, I didn't play that much. I started playing and I played a lot and I played every game and then I didn't play. So it just taught me to like go with the go with the waves and like be where I am.
Hmm.
Um, and then being at Utah just taught me how to support people despite me hating my situation.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't like how it was happening, and like it is what it is, like that happens everywhere. But at the same time, like I was there to support my teammates, and I showed up at training and like helped my team the best way I could. So I think it just taught me to like be thankful that I can even be on the field and like be there to support somebody because not everybody has a support system. And in the pros, like you definitely like you see it at times, like sometimes people don't have support. And I felt like I was that for some people. And like I wasn't happy with my chapter that year, but I was able to help somebody like get to where they wanted to be. So that's what I took from that.
Wow. Just journeys and
Yeah,
lessons
lots
on
of
top
ways.
of just experiences on top of experience. You just had an experience at every different place you went to and learned something new and added something to yourself everywhere you went to. That's amazing. But like one thing I took out of what you said is you aren't defined as a player. And I think that's so important
Yeah,
because people are going to go through so many different journeys and so many different experiences. Not one person is going to have the exact same journey. And yeah, you're going to go through some great times, but you're also going to go through some bad times. And you're not always going to get what you want, but it's important to remember, like your value isn't just from what you do on the field. It's, who you are as a person and what you bring off the field majority of the time because those lessons you learn and the experiences and the people you meet, you take that with you for the rest of your life. And I
yeah,
think, the soccer part's fun, but like those experiences and lessons is really what sticks with you and for the rest of your life. Um, but yeah, I really
yeah,
do think that like not defining yourself by like how you play or as a player is super important because if
yeah,
you get lost in yourself thinking your values only as a player, you're gonna like go through a lot of mental battles and like a lot of confidence issues and you won't get the full experience. But yeah, it sounds like from what you said as that you've like fully opened yourself up to all the experiences and allowed it in. And it seems like, like d regardless of, the stuff you've been through, it seems like you're like in a really good place, like mentally, and like you're really like trying to
yeah.
take in the full effect of everything and just be open. I think that's really amazing. Truly. I
Thank you.
also forget.
Honestly, the past couple,
No, go ahead, go ahead.
you said what?
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the past couple months in my new environment has been like really amazing
Hmm.
and helpful. So helped
You
bring
enjoy
bring
you
reflection this year.
Yeah, you enjoy the USL a lot.
Yeah, I actually do. I just think that, it's a new opportunity for players in the US to like play and um it's also like higher quality than I think people realize. Like it is there are some some really quality players in this league, and given a different day, like anybody, I feel like could be playing somewhere else too.
Mhm.
So I think it's a blessing to be here.
Don't don't undermine your USL though, because USL is literally, I know, I don't know, but I know that there's like not everyone gets accepted into that. Like you still need to have like a
Oh yeah,
like
the USL is a good league.
yeah, it is.
Oh,
Put
I think
praise on your league, girl, because it's
oh
literally
no,
just
am.
like
I am.
NWSL.
That's what I'm saying is the players in this league could easily be in the NWSL is what I'm getting at
Yeah. Because like that's
for
like
sure.
it
Yeah,
just gives like because you know the NWSL is such like a I
it's
mean like
become
I
a
should say like it's pretty like narrow like which players they take in or not, especially in the
yeah,
draft. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like it's
yeah.
like very much.
They have no draft.
Yeah. But like
Yeah,
in the USL just offers
yeah,
like another opportunity, for people who don't necessarily make the draft or,
yeah,
aren't getting the experience they want in the NWSL to like go to USL. And that's like the amazing thing. It still allows people to like still play pro at a very high level as well. Because like, yeah, even if
yeah.
the NWSL like, has great players, USL also has really great players too. I mean, they got you. Look at you. They got you in there.
Thanks. I try. No, but seriously, it is a good league. And where we're starting, like, is honestly amazing. And we already have a freaking PA formed. That's awesome. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see it grow. I think it's great. It's a great opportunity for people and not hating on this league at all.
Mm.
I think it's awesome. There are very high quality players in this league.
Yeah.
So
So, on the topic of USL, because you recently signed with Carolina, what excites you most about this new chapter in your career, and how do you see yourself contributing to the growth of women's soccer in your team?
well, um, I will say I'm excited because it's a new chance for me to learn and grow. And um, obviously, I've been on quite the journey with sports, with soccer. So I'm excited to be here. I love North Carolina, the state. I think being a part of the USL is really cool because I was in the NWSL for let's get almost 4.5 years because I left mid-season, so 4.5 years, and I got to watch the CBAs start, and I got to be a part of both bargainings, and I just think there's so much that I can add to this league on the PA side, and I think through my experiences. I've had experiences where I play a lot, and I've had experiences where I don't play, and then I've had an experience where I've been hurt a whole season. So I feel like I've gotten a little bit of everything. Uh, so I think that I can relate to a lot of the younger players in this league in the sense of if they're going through injury, if they're not playing, if um, really whatever. I just feel like I can kind of guide and like help be that comes in and can give them a different perspective that this one moment, this one year, these 2 years aren't the end. Like, um, so I think I can help the younger athletes in that way, but I also think I can help the PA grow to create this league that is competing hopefully with the NWSL. Like we've already a couple months in, we have a PA, and we're already making moves. So I think that is really cool. And uh, yeah, I just think the women of this league are very focused on trying to bring it up and make it something. And I think you can see with the higher ups too in the league that they really do care. They're at games, they like try to talk to teams, they show up to a lot of places and try to educate and like learn. So I think that that's cool. But yeah, I think this league has a lot of potential, and I mean it's already showing that. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really cool. You've always given big sister vibes, so I wouldn't be surprised if you're the ones always guiding everyone and being a leader and helping all the youngins out and stuff like that.
I do try to help the youngins. Now that you say that, I really do. I'm always like, you guys need anything? Yeah, I try.
Also, from because you and I went to college, we played on the same team together for a few years, just like from knowing you then, and also from like what you've told me as well through like your experiences, like you just always want to help other people and like, give big sister vibes and that's like a great great character about you. Does that make sense? Is
Yeah,
that even good English?
great, character trait. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
good,
good.
great character trait. I just missed trait.
So add one more. Oh, thank you. That's sweet. Yeah, I just try. I mean, I put myself in, I'm very empathetic, so I'll put myself in someone else's shoes. And I'm like, if I was in this situation, like I know that I would want somebody to like talk to me or like give me advice or like reassure me. So I just like try to do the same based off personalities.
Respect. Okay.
Yeah.
You've been a part of clubs that value community involvement. How important is it for you to connect with the fans and community off the field? And how do you balance this with the demands of professional soccer?
Okay. First and foremost, community is so important. Um, Fans are the community. The community is the fans. Like those coexist, and we do not exist without community and fans. So, fans important, community important, but not just because it helps us thrive, but because the community is like the backbone of everything. And I actually work with a nonprofit called Good Game, and we kind of like the point of us is to find a whole bunch of different nonprofits and then find that they all what they all have in common and then kind of bring them together so that they can become like have more production or have a bigger impact versus all these people working to do the same thing but in smaller groups and then it doesn't work as far. So that has been really fun for me. I've kind of been bouncing all over the place. I haven't been as involved as I'd love to be, but I work with food insecurity a lot. I think that's super important, and I love getting involved in the community. But with my schedule, it'd be hard because I don't want to be on my feet all the time. You know, we got recovery. I don't need to be walking around. So I try to every couple weeks try to go do something. Teams are usually pretty good about finding some events or like saying, "Hey, like I'm interested in this. I want to do this. Can you find something for me?" And then they'll send it to the team, and the players will go out and be active in the community. But yeah, I mean, I think community is everything, and it's just like fun to get to know people where you live and get to see people and kind of learn people's stories other than your own. Yeah, so I'm big on community, and I feel like for the when I was in Kansas City and when I was in Louisville, I feel like I did a pretty decent job at getting involved. And then here, I'm gonna hopefully dive into that soon.
That's amazing, Ads, that you do that. But yeah, I agree. Like, community is such a big part of our sport as well because like they give us something to play for and
Yeah,
something to be a part of. Like, outside, if we didn't have like the community we have and the fans, you have, especially like in the level you're playing at and stuff like that, like soccer wouldn't be the way it is. Like they are, I agree with you, such a big backbone in like soccer's culture and stuff like that. But that's
yeah,
amazing that you do that.
yeah. Love doing it. It's fun.
Okay,
Good time.
last question. Women's soccer has gained a lot of momentum globally, but there are still challenges to overcome. What role do you believe players, teams, and organizations like Carolina Ascent FC can play in accelerating the growth of women's soccer and inspiring the next generation of players?
I'm gonna digest this question for a
Yeah,
second.
take your time for real.
I would say you might have to remind me part of the question,
That's
but
fine.
and clubs to impact women's sports and player. Okay, so I would say that clubs can help by, I mean, promoting their players. Media is everything, marketing, players. But I think that leagues can also like really buy in and invest in women's sports. I think this is a very controversial topic. I think the hard part is people are like, oh, well, no one watches, whatever. It's like, okay, well, when you don't invest anything, nothing is ever going to grow. It's the same thing with a person. It's the same thing with anything. Like, if you don't invest in watering the plant, like the plant isn't going to grow and it's never going to grow because you're not helping it grow.
Mhm.
So I think the biggest thing that our league, every women's league can continue to do is invest in women's sports, find a way to get it on TV because people do watch it. And like you can even tell with like the NWSL, they had I think 2 million viewers or something. They had crazy views on the final. It's just in all games throughout the season. So I think it's just finding a way to put it on a platform and not making it incredibly hard to watch every game,
Mhm.
which is honestly one thing that I think is cool about the USL is all the games are on one thing. They're all on Peacock. You just go on there, you know where the games are at. They're easy to find. It entices people to watch them. So I think for me, like the biggest thing is like, yes, the players can promote and they can try and they can push these things. And I think that's where like CBAs and like stuff like that are helpful to that because they kind of help push that standard. But I also think that um, like the more people invest in something, the more it's going to grow. Like that's just I don't
Mhm.
know how else to say it. So that's probably what I'll leave.
No,
Just more investment, and
yeah, I
I think it's
completely agree.
starting to pay off.
No,
Yeah.
I
So
completely agree with you. Like before it was really only like the NWSL that woman
yeah,
could really play pro in aside from, like the national teams. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
in North America at least. But like now,
yes,
like they have the USL that you're playing in. They just started a pro league in
yeah,
Canada called the NSL. Like there's so many more
yeah,
professional leagues that, women players can go play in now. Like they necessarily don't have to go overseas anymore if they don't want
yeah,
to, or like don't just have to rely on the NWSL. Like they have other outlets now. They could come home if they want to. And like
yeah,
if you think about younger girls who are watching can now watch, people just like them growing up just where they're from, seeing them play pro, and they know now that they have
yeah,
a pathway to like be able to go down that road if they want to as well. And I feel like that in a sense increases more young girls wanting to like play soccer and follow that dream. So no, I completely agree with you. Like the plant only grows where you water it. And like with this USL opening and the new NSL opening, like it's giving more opportunity for women to come back and play in, where they're from, play where they're born, and also
yeah.
you give more young girls opportunities to like play pro. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so as we approach the end of our conversation, what advice would you give to young players who aspire to play professionally?
My advice has changed over the years, and this is my current advice that I would give young girls. Even when everybody around you makes it hard to believe in yourself, you always have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, it makes your life a lot harder. Like you can't rely on other people for validation. Like you have to go in knowing you can do it. You have to go in knowing that if this coach doesn't like me, I'm going to find another coach that does. Or if this doesn't work, I'm going to find another way. Like you have to believe in yourself wholeheartedly and you can't seek validation from other people. So,
I love that. Well, Addie, thank you again for taking the time to be on the One Soccer Nation podcast.
of course, thanks for having me.